Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age or any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard really control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I ride. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
You know, I'm still doing stunts. You know, and the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Brown right, motion, tailback slant. Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner, all right? On one, ready? Go 13! Coming up, go 13! Hey!
Lights are bright on Friday night.
Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here. Time to talk a little 3A football, sideline to sideline style. Week 1, we're East Texas watching some 4A powers. Week 2, we were in the Panhandle watching 2 Panhandle 3A powers.
This week we'll be in Austin watching a couple of 4A powers.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the top 5 teams in all the divisions really early this year, which is what we love to do. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it, by the way. That's Grant. I'm Terry, if you're watching the video. We go out to Bushland last week to see Bushland and Canadian. And as awesome as the East Texas setup was for week 1, it was just as doubly awesome for week 2 out in Bushland. My first time being out in Bushland for a game. One of the few times we don't usually do the back. We saw Bushland and Canadian last year in Canadian. I think the only other time we've really done that as Newton West Orange Star.
Yeah.
And part of that's because we always go to Cedar Tree. Now, in saying that, part of the reason why we went out West Texas or Panhandle was we wanted to eat at the Plaza. And boy, it hit perfect as always. But honestly, so did this football game. I am so impressed with both teams. That's Bushland 1 and Bushland 1 going away. But I think Bushland's the more experienced, I never thought I'd say this, more physical team right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, Bushland defensively is about as physical as you're going to find, though, out in Class 3A.
Yeah, I mean, this is Bushland. They just feel different this year.
Yeah, they do.
And
they're built differently. Just like how Canadian had in the last few years,
yes.
That's how Bushland looks this year. Man, that defense is nasty for Bushland. And, a lot of that is Jenner King, Jackson Fetch had a huge game.
He was all over the field, man.
They could not get a hat on him.
Yep.
And he made play after play. Ty Purcell, right, at safety, was making big plays. So this Bushland defense is something that teams are going to have to try to figure out if they're going to move on. And honestly, I don't know if anybody's going to figure them out. I can see Bushland with just the defense alone. Their offense got more impressive as the game went along because, look, they had a younger quarterback. He's a junior, but
he sat behind a guy who had played for 3 years.
He fell in the game and got more comfortable.
Oh, man.
And he started being prolific, right? So Quade Ferris getting more comfortable in that offense as a first-year starter is really scary behind this Bushland defense. I can see them making a state championship run.
Well, didn't King also have an interception?
Yeah, he did.
He also had 6.
Yeah, because it was the game was.
It's kind of where the game turned. It was that interception
in the second quarter with about 9 minutes left, he comes up with an interception, and then Bushland gets the ball on Canadian's short side of the field around the 30, 40-yard line and pushes it in. And after Jenner King's interception, that's when Bushland started owning the game, and Bushland really started to dominate up front on both sides of the ball.
Quade Ferris, the new quarterback, 16 of 19, 2 touchdowns. King had 110 yards and a touchdown. You were talking about Jackson Fetch, 17 tackles and a sack, and it felt like
crazy.
And there were 5 or 6 more where he didn't maybe make the tackle, but he held the edge and forced Canadian to go inside. And by the way, Canadian looks perfectly fine. They're going. I know this. This is a.
They had a couple starters out.
They had a couple starters out.
For disciplinary reasons.
Young. I didn't know that. I didn't. Know that.
I think so. But that does not take away from the fact that Bushland would have won this game no matter what.
But Clay Kendall, his first time as a starting quarterback, first year, second game, he threw for 286 yards and a touchdown. Julian Dominguez, not only he had 10 catches for 91 yards, but they also used him out of the backfield. He's kind of there.
Well, Bushland worked him over a lot, though.
Yeah,
did they not?
Yeah,
I mean, look. It was obvious where the ball was going every time, right?
Yeah, and he still had over Canadian 150 yards.
But I mean that was their total offensive output. Right?
I don't know. I'm just saying
they had their big 22 receiver, right? Bushland,
boy,
had him hurting.
I think he had 60 yards. It was so weird for both to have these two. Usually your slot guys are smaller guys, but both of these teams have these 2 big 22s that are their slot receivers. I'm saying, I think even though Canadian lost, Canadian is going to be perfectly fine in 3 Division 2 out there.
They're going to be perfectly fine. I'm just saying Bushland made a statement.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Very much
Bushland made a statement.
And I think for them, it was a mental statement.
The thing is about Bushland, statewide, Bushland's up there tucked away in the panhandle.
They get forgotten about.
And they get forgotten about unless people like us go out and watch them.
Yep.
And then you forget about them, and then all of a sudden they show up in the semifinals, and you're like, "What's this Bushland team?" Well, they're going to get beat by 30 because we don't know them.
Yep.
I'm here to tell you right now, Bushland isn't getting beat by 30. You need to watch out for them because they could be in Arlington for a state championship run. I'm telling you, they're that good, especially defensively. And that offense is just going to get better. Better and better. And I want to thank the Purcells, by the way, for having us out. Invite us over to their tailgate party at the house.
We didn't get to stay long because the plaza kept us a little later.
In traffic.
Yep.
Who would have thought?
In Amarillo.
Right.
No traffic until the last 10 minutes.
So thank you, Purcells. We appreciate that.
Thank you to...
they made a mistake for saying, do you want a beer? And luckily I didn't take them up on that because we only had a few minutes, but then I realized what a mistake that is. Usually you offer me a beer, then all of a sudden I'm there for a week.
You're living
drinking
there,
all your beer.
Yeah.
Your dog's having puppies. I'm getting mail there.
Hey,
you can't get me to leave. I'm squatting, and it's a whole legal mess, dude. So you're lucky.
Now,
thank you for the offer.
I do want to tell the Purcells, though, that since
I'm like a gremlin.
So since you offered him a beer, that offer lasts 222 days.
Right.
So
I
between
might
now,
show up in the
any
off
moment,
season.
at any
3
moment.
in the morning.
Yep. With tacos.
Yeah, I had been in Childress
eating at the plaza.
And now I'm at your place. banging on the door. Where's that beer you offered me?
We also want to thank Bushland Falcons Media for the Chris Welch. Of course, if we've talked about before, me and him are actually from the same town, all the way over in East Texas.
So weird. You're probably kin.
Well, it's Marshall probably, but he now helps run the broadcast. We were on their halftime show. They gave us some cool swag. They gave us these thermos cups. We got us a Bushland mini helmet. I will say
that
this.
Rings, right? There's a bell inside.
Shut up. I was hoping you didn't remember that. God, no.
I'll be over there in a minute. Oh, I hear Elsie the cow. All right. Can we move on now to Lubbock Christian getting the doors blown off by Jim Ned? Jim Ned beats Lubbock Christian 42-12. Jim Ned's Gray Beasley threw for 165 yards and 3 touchdowns. Adrian Ellis ran for 100 yards on 14 carries. This is the Jim Ned Indian team that we were used to a few years ago.
Yeah, they look good, and they're throwing the ball more. Beasley with 165 yards, as you said, 3 touchdowns. Just a good. You go out and you know Lubbock Christian is just like Midland Christian. They're top 10 or 11 can compete with 3A schools,
right?
But Jim Ned does what Jim Ned does and just wears them down with good offense and better defense, and a good win for the Indians.
Yeah.
Hey, good win for Goliad, bouncing back after they got upset in week 1. They beat Tidehaven, and I know people say, well, Tidehaven doesn't have Joseph Dodd. No, but
they're still a top 10 team,
and
right?
they've got a ton of juniors, so they're not even. They're rebuilding this year, and I still think that they're going to be the team that gives Pope the most trouble down there. I mean, that was a classic region final last year, and I just think a really good bounce back win for Goliad.
Yeah. All right, Edna
Wow.
beating Bay City 35-7. It's not the fact that Edna beat Bay City; it's by the margin they beat Bay City. Who would have thought? I picked Bay City to win this game. Man, am I shocked.
Holding Bay City, an offense that last year was outstanding.
And I don't even think Rodas played.
Huh, really?
Yeah. Right.
Whoa. Yeah, because he'd been banged up. Wow.
No, I don't. I think he was just out for other reasons.
But I didn't know about that. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
If
I'm
that this not week. Mistaken.
But yeah, I mean, they hold Bay City to 9 first downs. They hold them to 19 carries for 17 yards.
And honestly, Edna, that's what Edna has been missing against like the Franklins of the world when they get deep in the playoffs. Why they can't make it to Arlington is because that defense gets eaten up. When somebody wants to bang with them, they can't hang up to the bang.
Yeah, that's a really
maybe
good
they
point.
can now, right? Not that Bay City's going to come out and mash you, right? But they can if they want. I think.
And they held. They basically the touchdown that they gave up was in the third quarter after it was already 28-0.
Yeah.
So really impressive win for Edna.
All right, how about Hitchcock, man? Just showing their dominance again against a good Hampshire Fannett team, 71-48. Just wiped the field with Fannett. At least, I mean, just made that Fannett defense look like it was non-existent.
You know, we were talking about this during the 4A show, and I kind of was thinking back, you know, I don't know if Craig Smith isn't too sad, and they're ranked, so it's not like people forgot about them. But with what Columbus did against Cuero, and how Hallettsville started out 2-0, and how Yoakum has started out 2-0, Hitchcock has kind of been forgotten. And I don't know if that's a bad thing for them, because I think they do better when people forget about them and just let them cook down there. And Lloyd Jones is still Lloyd Jones, and they still have one of the best wide receivers in Kelshawn Johnson. And, you know, Fannett is a physical 4A team. They're a little bit down this year compared to where they were last year. They're still going to be a 8-9 win team and go a couple rounds. I'm really impressed with this win for the Bulldogs.
I am too. And it's setting up a big showdown against Columbus here pretty soon, right?
In 12-3A Division I, we're talking about, and we said this is why we said it was the toughest district. Yoakum,
yeah,
you know, Hallettsville.
Nobody's thinking about Yoakum, but Yoakum beat Vanderbilt Industrial 45-42.
What a game for the Bulldogs there.
And Vanderbilt Industrial is a darn good team.
Cobras have a good, consistent program now, and we'll talk a little bit more about Yoakum in the next, because they have their annual Cuero matchup. But yeah, I mean, 12-3A Division I is not just tough because of Hitchcock and Columbus, and we said that in the toughest district show. And with Hallettsville and Yoakum looking like they are going to be good, and here's the great thing. everybody in this district that matters plays somebody good this week, or at least somebody comparable. Hallettsville has Tidehaven. Yoakum has Cuero. Hitchcock has a Lamarck team that's down, but they're still athletic. Columbus has Needville. So I'm just really impressed with that district. I'm also impressed with Jefferson, as they had to hold on. They got up big against Newton, then Newton made a rush, and then Jefferson kind of stretched it back out. But the Bulldogs are now 2-0 with 2 very impressive wins.
Yeah, they beat Newton 47-38. Cameron just, again, shows out, man. And that defense.
Newton has a defensive problem. Man, I never thought I'd say that.
Well, yeah, but you would think that Newton's defense speed-wise would match up with Jefferson. Look, Jefferson's a very fast, very quick team, right? We saw that week 1 when we went out and saw them play Leonard, right? And we saw Cameron Williams run. But we thought, Tatum could match up at least defensively, speed-wise. And for the most part, they did for a while. But, man, I think Jefferson's just too quick on the edges for Newton, and maybe Newton does have a speed problem.
Well, and I think the other thing, though, is we talked a little bit about it. Jefferson's big.
Yeah,
like the thing that I was so shocked was that offensive line is just big, and
so maybe it's not a speed problem.
No, I just think Newton might just have a defensive problem this year. They've given up 47 and they've given up 38. Speaking of a problem, Dangerfield now is definitely
this is the elephant in the room. I think what Dangerfield has done the last 2 weeks, getting beat like they did last week, and then getting beat 35-14 to Tatum. Look, Tatum's 2-0. Right.
Hey, good. Good start for.
But if you're Dangerfield and you thought you were a top 5 team, right? You made the region or the state semifinals last year with a lot of your returning starters coming back, with that quarterback coming back. You thought you were a shoe-in for the state semifinals at least this year. Not so fast, my friend.
Well, and the thing is, and
new offensive coordinator.
Talking with people, but talking with people that we trust, we always say, Dangerfield's issues are not always on the field, and apparently there's some of that going on, that growing pains of a new coaching staff and things like that. They get Pleasant Grove this week. Pleasant Grove has struggled. We'll see. And they got center, and look, center's still center, man.
Oh, yeah,
they're still scoring points aplenty. So
still Meeks.
Dangerfield could easily, Dangerfield could easily go into district 0-4 or 0-5. So we'll have to see. Brownwood beats Wall, but hey, good win or good loss for Wall. There's no shame in losing to 4A Brownwood.
And good win for Brownwood.
And good win for Brownwood.
Move the ball a little bit. Play really good defense. Right, Wall can move the football.
Oh yeah.
And Brownwood holding them to 7 points, great. How about Anna 55, Gunner 28? I know, a lot of Gunner haters are going to say, you got what's yours. But, I mean, it's
Anna, a 5A.
They won state last year. They return a lot.
They could very well be the team in 5A Division II this year that ends the South Oak Cliff P&G rivalry. They are that good, guys.
If the dominoes fall right for Anna, they could be in state semifinals, even finals. Everything fell right.
I think right now, because South Oak Cliff is figuring some things out, I think right now Anna's the favorite in that region. They return everybody. They are so loaded. And it's hard to talk about this game from the 3A side because Gunner was never going to win this game.
No.
And we talked about it a little bit in the 4A game, or 4A, because we were talking about Salina, and Gunner and Salina play this week. It's not just that they're outnumbered by Anna, they're outsized because Gunner has never been a big team. They're quick. They're fast. They play great,
and they're tenacious.
They're the
tenacity against size and depth.
Yeah,
doesn't get you quite as far, but it gets you within 55-28. It does. It really does. The
problem is Anna
any
has
other team's getting 100 put on.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is Anna's got that size and that athleticism, and they're just as tenacious. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So no shame with Gunner on that. I hate that the 31 game streak came to an end. By the way, in 1 week, we saw them lose their 31 game streak and Canadian lose their 22 regular season game streak. Holiday outlasts Munster 49-35. Hunter Jones throws for 5 touchdowns in the game. 800 total yards of offense between these two teams. Hey, this was just a fun 3A versus 2A. Two really, really good teams.
You want to get your money's worth. Go out, see Holiday play one night, or even if you're a 2A fan, go out and see Munster play because these are two hellacious teams.
Well, and the great thing with this game is sometimes you don't have to learn anything. Just have two teams out there just going at it, and that's what that game was.
Yeah, these two. This game ended exactly how it should. Right, a top-ranked 3A team against a top-ranked 2A team, and 49-35. That's about what you would expect, right?
Yep.
How about Malakoff?
We kind of were both right on this game.
Kind of, yeah. Malakoff 34, Lorena 14.
Yeah, you thought Malakoff would win comfortably, and they ended up winning comfortably. But for 3.5 quarters, this game was back and forth.
It was back and forth, but this is a weird game because both teams had a combined 29 penalties in the game. So that kind of
and that's weird for both of those programs because neither one of them.
Yeah,
they don't usually live in the penalty
all
world.
The rhythm of the game out. So who knows? But is really close to 3 quarters. Malakoff opened it up in the 4th. Mike Jones just gutted the defense with 260 yards passing and 97 yards rushing. I mean, so that's kind of. It's hard to tell. Malakoff is Malakoff. Lorena's better than their 0-2 record, right?
Yes.
A lot of this is the penalties and then what Mike Jones was able to do. We're going to hear a lot about Mike Jones again, like we were last year or the year before last. Right.
He's a sophomore this year or junior. Is he junior this year?
No, he's a senior this year, I believe.
Oh, I thought he was a sophomore last year. Anyway,
Liberty Allo 44, Henderson 41.
Trip Basinger throws for 318 yards.
The ex-Hooks quarterback, right?
Daquan Prevost had 18 catches for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns.
That's dominant right there.
And by the way, in East Texas, both of these teams, of course, Liberty Allo here in 3A, Henderson and Foy are going to be fun teams this year. They both score plenty. Clay Baker, the head coach at Henderson, year 2, he's kind of got them figured out offensively. They got to struggle on defense. Liberty Allo new coach. We're starting to already see how good that was. I'm really happy for Liberty Allo. I have missed them being a good playoff team.
Liberty Allo's had the athletes. Now they got the coaching staff to put them in place. They're lined up right.
Yep.
They're making really good decisions.
1,000% right.
They're paying attention to the details. And this is what happens when you have a bunch of athletes like you've always had, but now you've got direction, right?
Yep.
And now you're paying attention to the small things and the details. And that's what gets you winning programs. And the Leopards are going to be great. Henderson's going to be just fine too.
Anahuac beats Woodville 29-20. This was a back and forth game. Anahuac.
I would have loved to have seen this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to go back and watch this game tomorrow, actually.
I'm curious about Woodville. So I don't think this is a bad loss in any way.
No, but look, down by 5 in the 3rd quarter. Anahuac scores 14 unanswered points. The defense forced like 6 turnovers. Anahuac's quarterback, Brady Barrier, tallied like 297 yards from the line of scrimmage.
So are you a little worried if you're Anahuac that you got so many turnovers and you still only win by 9 points? Like, that's a little bit concerning.
Well, I guess I would, but then you look at what their quarterback did, right? To just dominate a Woodville defense.
No. I mean, I'm just saying, like, again, we're going to have to watch the minutia of the game. This might be a situation where Anahuac couldn't convert on some 4th downs or something like that. I'm just saying, you hold Woodville, and have that many turnovers. I'd like to see a bigger score, but still a good win and a good loss for Woodville.
Anahuac just seems to be that team that just guts out every win they get.
That's a good
really
point.
Good teams.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even their losses, when they fought Franklin, 2 years ago?
No, the playoff game where they played keep away in that first half.
Keep away. That's Anahuac, right? Let's muck it up. Let's make it ugly. We're fine with that. Or we can win a high scoring event.
They have got a tight end in Quandre Coates, who he might be the next year Michael Finley from that area. He's 6'6". He's fast, and they've got to get him the ball. That's one thing for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, who doesn't have a problem getting people the ball? That's Columbus. As they dominate LaGrange.
How many weapons does Columbus? Let's not even talk about the Columbus defense, because that Columbus defense pretty darn good. But
I mean, they just need to be okay. Like their defense, their defense just needs to be okay. I genuinely keep saying this. I just, and maybe we're putting too much on them, but until Malakoff, I don't see anybody beating Columbus except for Columbus.
Right.
If they go out and play with their food, or if they have one of their games where their offense just takes a little while to get going. And we're talking about playing Madisonville in 2 weeks. We've seen Madisonville and them. Madisonville matches up well with them. Belleville. I still think
don't
Columbus.
think anybody matches up very well with Columbus.
Well, I just meant because of 4A. I just meant from 4A, 3A. Yeah.
But this year, I don't know that anybody's going to match up well with them.
Well, we'll see in the next 2 weeks.
The question that we had going back to last week that I was saying was what is Columbus going to do at running back? Well, again, like I said last week, Grayson Rigdon comes in right from Benjamin. And
well, you can say from Benjamin and from Richland
or in Strong.
Yeah.
Had 257 all-purpose yards, 207 rushing, 50 yards receiving.
And
that's their weakness. That was their weakness. And they answered it with a guy that, okay, I'll pitch in 257 yards. You like that?
Well, just think about it now. You're fourth round of the playoffs and you're playing Columbus and you've got the ball. And you look across the field, and Ringdon steps on the field defensively.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're only using a quarter of what he can do.
Right.
Yeah. Again, I still, until it happens, the only team that can beat Columbus right now is Columbus, and I don't see them beating themselves.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm not going to say the only team that can beat them is them because we still have Malakoff.
No, I'm saying I said up till Malakoff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Malakoff and Franklin.
Yes.
But they're going to be a tough out. All right, Lexington 45, Academy 21. Little River Academy came into this game with all that offensive firepower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lexington does too with Case Evans at quarterback, but Case Evans comes in, throws for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. Noah Wright-Harris ran for 167 yards. Mason Beal had 6 catches for 172 yards. I mean, that's like PlayStation numbers.
Look, Case Evans is showing that when the junior quarterback is healthy, he is just absolutely phenomenal.
With weapons around
him. And then again,
and a defense that's holding Academy to 21.
Well, I mean, their defense is a lot like Columbus. Just be
getting
good.
Away.
Yeah, getting away, create some turnover.
Right?
Yeah, create some turnovers, and you're going to be perfectly fine. I am really high.
So
on
when
Lexington.
are we getting down to Lexington for a game? We haven't been down there.
We haven't
been ever. I mean, I've been to one Lexington game in Lexington my whole life. That was before we were doing the show. We need to do that.
The only Lexington game I have ever seen in person, I broadcast when Troop beat them in the state semifinals.
I was at that game too.
In
was
Waco.
that in Mesquite?
No, Waco.
Oh, Waco. Okay.
Waco
I was
ISD,
at that game
because that's when I learned about how awesome the stadium of Waco ISD is and how terrible everything else about Waco ISD Stadium is. And if you've
Still
been there,
a great
you
place
know.
to see a game.
You know, the problem is
it was a cold night at that game. I do remember that.
You know, them and Rogers that last week of the season, that might mean something.
Yeah, maybe.
The problem is they're in a district where, I mean, I don't know if they get challenged in district. That's the problem. I don't know if anybody in 13 3A Division II will challenge them.
Well, it doesn't matter. We could go to the game on Friday, stay in Lexington somewhere overnight. Maybe somebody put us up.
You know, stay at Airbnb.
I
mean, at a bed and breakfast with me.
No.
You know, that's considered one of the bed and breakfast capitals of Texas.
Lexington is?
Yeah, or around there. We saw the sign when we were driving. We drove through
weird. There. Only you would know that.
Well, it's a sign.
Somebody just put us up there, and then we get up early, go stand in line, and eat at Snow's Barbecue.
I'm not eating the Snow's. Yeah. I would like to do that. All right. Is that it?
Yeah.
Holy crap, that was a quick 3A review. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to preview as we're going to talk week 3 3A, and of course, that means we've got Coach X. Where is Coach X working this week? Well, we'll talk about it when we come back.
Probably the oil field or traveling person.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room, and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
one of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player, any age, at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. And the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Lights are bright on Friday night.
Terry Burnett, Grant Goodwin back here, sideline to sideline, the Class 4A or 3A edition. I want to remind everybody, join our Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/L4 Media Company. We're going to be having some special shows starting next week. We're going to have a live chat either Wednesday or Thursday each week. A lot of it just depends on if we're going to be, because there might be some games we go to on Thursday. But starting next week, we're going to have our live chat. We're also going to have our rankings. They'll be behind the Patreon wall, so you can check those out. Just go to patreon.com/L4 Media Company. All right, we did the review section of 3A. Let's go ahead and start previewing week 3. Another good week of football here in the 3A world.
Yep.
And we also have Coach. All right, we're going to get Coach X.
All right.
Hey, guys, did you know? Oh, by the way, if you don't remember, Coach X is not Coach X this year. In fact, he's ex-Coach X. He's trying his, he thought he had a career down. He was going up to Oregon to the very last blockbuster. Apparently, things have not worked out well. So here's what he has to say.
Miscalculation.
Yeah,
he'll get a coaching job again next year, right?
Depends on what the court. But anyway, here you go.
The courts.
Hey, did you guys know that there isn't much of a market for video rentals anymore? Apparently, this thing called Nix popped up overnight, and it's dominating the home video market. It's those last three words that worry me. Home video market. I mean, this isn't 2002, buddy. So I had to say goodbye to Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference. So it's down the road to my next adventure. That's making picks for Grant and Terry, which I've been doing for several years. So not really my next adventure, but I guess an old adventure. But I'm also selling solar devices to hippies. If you tell them Trump hates it, they buy double what they get. Hey, Moonbeam, you want a solar-powered vacuum? No? If you buy it, Trump cries, and it saves democracy. Oh, you'll take two now? You know what? If you buy a third one, it'll lower the rate of climate change by 1 degree. Sold. Here you go, Moonshadow. On with the picks. Moonshadow, I love that. All right, let's start with Comanche versus Eastland.
Nice game, man, right here, man. Comanche's quarterback, Caden Davis, he's a dual threat quarterback.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Defenses have had a hard time shutting him down for the first 2 weeks. Manuel Ortiz, the wide receiver, LaDainian Smith, the running back. very tough on defenses. Eastland comes into this game 2-0.
Hey, welcome
with
back
really
to
good
2-0.
wins over Coleman 21-6 and Clyde 35-14.
Eastland the last couple years have they haven't just struggled, they've been terrible. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Last year 3-8, 2 years ago 1-9.
That I-20 faction that was so good, Eastland and Cisco.
That's a good point.
Had kind of struggled for
At
a
least
while.
Cisco had been competitive, though. Eastland, until this year, the last 2 years, has not been competitive.
After Baron Morton's left,
yeah,
right?
and his dad left as head coach and everything.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're finally coming back around. Comanche, we've talked about them. They're that one of those teams that whenever you start to feel like you can trust what they do, they tend to let you down. And then when you kind of forget about them, they'll then turn around and have a really good start. Just in the first 2 weeks, they lose to Poe 35-14. You go, okay,
not a bad loss now all of a sudden,
no.
because I'm telling you, Poth is a real deal, Dave.
Oh, no, you're right. No, I'm just saying. But then they turn around and beat Llano by 2 touchdowns,
right?
Which is a very good win for them. So I think this is going to be a very interesting match.
Comanche wins this football game, and for the fact that Comanche held in there as close to Poth as they did tells me a lot. That tells you how good I think Poth is down in 2A.
Yep.
Comanche will beat Eastland. I think it's a close one, though. I do. This is in Eastland, I believe, right?
I like Eastland in this game.
Do you?
Yeah.
Close?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very close.
I like Comanche by 7 to 10 points.
Yeah. I totally think this is a one possession game. It comes down to the last drive. Let's see what Coach X has to say. I thought there was a great migration west. At least that is what Robert Earl Keene told me and Lyle. I don't say his full name because that's how cool me and Lyle Lovett are. I guess I just said his full name anyway. Shut up, Terry. I'm just reading your words, brother. So if you were moving west, how did they settle on Eastland? I don't get it. And how far west do you have to be before you settle on what direction you go?
I think Mineral Wells.
Give me them.
I think Mineral Wells is kind of. No, you know what? No. Brock. Mineral Wells.
I wish the town next to Eastland would have named themselves Westland just to start a fun rivalry.
That's just dumb. This is dumb.
But yeah, of all the things you said, that's dumb. All right, let's go to our next one. Let's go Madisonville versus Malakoff.
Ooh, fun one right here, man.
Malakoff is the favorite. I'm not saying that they're not. We just
prohibitive.
We just talked about how much we love Malakoff. But one thing about Madisonville is you give them credit. They're that type of program that they're not going to be afraid of Malakoff. They're not going to, cow to them. They're going to get beat by them, but Madisonville's going to be physical. Madisonville's got a couple athletes. I think Madisonville can give them some trouble, but Columbus wins going away.
Well,
Malakoff wins going away.
Madisonville, Philip Green at running back, he's GoDaddy.
We saw him 2 years ago as a sophomore, and he's really, really good.
Yeah, Ty Williams, quarterback, dual threat, right? So, yeah, they've got the offensive.
I think this game is closer than what people think, but it's still not close. If that makes sense.
How close do you think people think? Because look, Mike Jones, quarterback, seems to be on another level last year, and even this year, even more. Jerry and Hall, running back, as a threat from anywhere on the field, and this defense is stout. Parker Poteet is one of the best linebackers in Class 3A. Every position you go check, Madisonville versus Malakoff. For Madisonville, if you go win, or loss, loss, maybe a push here, loss, maybe a push here. Malakoff owns 9 out of 11 of those, probably on both sides of the ball. And this is probably bulletin board material for the Mustangs, but Malakoff wins this by 21 points or more.
Yeah, I can see that. I think
Malakoff is. It's not that Madisonville's not good, but Malakoff just puts so much pressure on you with their defense, and their offense pressures your defense to just make a few stops, and all of a sudden it gets away from you
before
and
you know
Malakoff
it. That's exactly what happened to Lorena.
Huh?
That's exactly what happened to Lorena. Lorena was matching Malakoff there early, and then boom. The one time Lorena got off track on offense, Malakoff cashed in. Yeah. And then Lorena had a turnover, and Malakoff cashed in again, and game was over.
Because you're never going to see – look, Malakoff offensively is never going to get behind the sticks. Never. And when you're playing in front of the sticks –
it's so much easier.
It is. And they never play behind the sticks. It's always 4 yards to go. And I'm
That's
sorry,
a
if you're
good
a
way to put
defense,
it. Yeah.
defending 4 yards
In
is a
today's
lot
football,
harder
yeah.
than 10 to 12 to 13 to 14
Yep.
yards.
Now,
And a lot of really good offenses will eventually, every once in a while, get behind the sticks. And that's when a defense can come up and make their stops. Malakoff's not going to do that.
here's the cool thing.
And Malakoff's so physical.
Madisonville plays Malakoff this week,
Mm-hmm.
Columbus next week.
Oh,
We're
God.
going to at least get
That is kind of like Texas's OU and Georgia.
It's weird. Well, it is, but then
I guess OU's not that
but
big of a,
then Madisonville's the 4A team, so that's the weird part. But I'm
I
just
know,
saying,
right.
we'll at least get a little bit of a calibration.
you take the A's out of it.
Oh,
Though.
yeah.
When they're
Yeah.
really
When they're
good
this
teams
good,
like
yeah.
this, the A's don't matter.
Exactly. But more importantly, we're going to get kind of a calibration next 2 weeks with Malakoff and Columbus. All right, let's see what Coach
Yeah,
X
that's true.
has to say. Who is the quarterback for Mike Jones? Who's the quarterback for Malakoff? Who? Even though that cop in the cough gives out tickets like they're sweet tarts, I'm going with the Tigers. Who is the quarterback for them again? Who? Damn right. By the way, did we say this on the 3A show? Speaking of the who, because John Cena did the You Can't See Me. John Cena follows our Twitter. By the way,
I don't know why.
Because he loves us. He thinks we're awesome.
He doesn't listen to Texas high school.
How do you
football.
know that? He's sitting there right now waiting. He's got his Brock pants
Oh,
on.
he does?
He's
Oh,
wearing
got
his Mike Jones
my
Malakoff
Brock
jersey.
pants.
Let me finish. His Malakoff jersey on, and he's wearing his Newton Eagle hat. He likes all teams, man. He's just a Texas high school football fan.
I mean, I
He
guess
follows our Twitter.
I would say that's dumb, but you do. I mean, he
Follows our Twitter.
on
I'm just
Twitter.
saying. No,
Yeah,
but that's kinda
weird.
Cool. It is very weird and
That
random,
can't
and
be
we
the
love
right.
it. No,
one.
it is. It is.
He's got the blue check.
That's not. That doesn't matter anymore. You can
Okay,
pay,
then how do you know it's John Cena?
because I did a search on it, and that's his Twitter. Like
You did a
his,
search on what?
not those websites.
All right, East Bernard versus. I was trying to trap you.
You almost did too. I had to think about it for a minute, but then I remembered I've
East
known you for
Bernard
17
versus
years.
Ganado. This is one hell of a game.
Yeah.
I don't know how much statewide pub this game is getting. It's only Tuesday. Maybe it'll heat up more. But I hadn't seen a lot of people talking about this game. But right here, I think this might be the game of the week, man. I know Ganado's down in 2A. East Bernard's up here in our talking.
But again, what you say, A's don't matter when it comes to these type teams.
I mean, Ganado is one of the state favorites in 2A. They ought to easily come up and play with a Class 3A team. Yet East Bernard is starting to show their muscle, man, this year.
Dude, we talked about it. You know, last year they made the change. New coach, new system. They kind of struggled early. Then they kind of started finding themselves as the season went along. I think they started the year 0-2. And then their only regular season loss was to Tidehaven, 15-7.
Right.
Then
No
they lose.
shame in that one.
Listen to this. They lose they don't lose again to the playoffs to Poth, 14-7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, East Bernard, their losses last year. This we probably talked about. Like their 4 losses last year were to Edna, to Hitchcock, to Tidehaven, to Poth. I mean, that's a hell of a murder's row
With a
of
lot
losses.
of dudes coming back.
And they beat Ganado last year, and we were. I remember in that moment we were like, "What? Watch out for East Bernard." And I think it's the same thing this year. I think it's a 1-possession game, just like it was last year. Give me East Bernard, even on the road. I think they win this game.
I was going to take East Bernard
But now you won't.
before, but now I'm going to take Ganado in a nail biter. This is the game we're going to be in Austin for Wimberley versus Austin LBJ.
Yep.
But if we didn't have that game, which is a tasty matchup back in Class 4A, East Bernard and Ganado would be the game we'd be
Yeah, I
at.
agree 100%.
All right, Grandview, Waco Conley. This is a nice one.
Oh,
I'm going to take Conley in a close one.
I'm going to take Conley by as many as they want.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, I mean, look, Conley. I know Conley. Again, they're one of those teams that can you trust them and all that. I was really impressed. Not that they beat Laga Vista because I thought they were the favorite, but how bad they beat Laga Vista.
Uh-huh.
And I think Grandview's down this year. You know, Glen Rose throttled them, which there's
well,
no
they
shit.
lost their best player. I think with him that went to Crowley.
Yeah,
right. I think with,
J.L. Allen.
I think with
that
him
was bad. I mean, not bad, but you know,
they
not bad for
stand a
them.
chance. They still wouldn't beat Conley, but I think Conley wins. But I don't think it's the blowout you think,
I think it's at least what the Glen Rose game was,
which was
49-14.
Oh, I don't think it's that bad.
Okay.
I don't know.
And by the way,
It could be.
Conley is one of those teams that right when you start to trust them, they'll lose to
But
Grandview.
taking that out of the equation, I see where you're coming from, but I think Grandview's still pretty good defensively, so I think it's going to be a little bit closer. But I do like Conley in this. All right, Seminole versus Sweetwater. Give me Seminole with that quarterback. Sweetwater is still, yeah.
No, I mean the game. Sorry, not your pick. I agree with your pick. Sorry,
okay.
I was transitioning and I realized, oh crap, that's a good matchup.
You've been transitioning for a while.
I walked right into that one. You know what? I got to give it to you on that one. Well
I know
played,
somebody
sir.
to do puberty blockers in Mexico. Would you go down there
Is that
and
where
see the
you got?
donkey
Is
show?
that where you got your antibiotics from?
No, that was El Salvador. Actually, I do have amoxicillin.
It is weird though that you're supposed to snort that, and then you get real excited after you snort it for about 30 minutes.
No, they were telling me to snort muscle relaxers.
Oh, that's what it was.
Not antibiotics.
No, but
I think
I like Seminole.
Maybe the doctor didn't tell me to snort anything. I just been snorting at everything. Maybe that's my problem.
This is a true story. I got to tell you this. I had a chick in about 2018 that I kind of hung out with for a little bit, and I knew the issue was
she was on on puberty blockers. And then
why do you have to ruin everything?
She transitioned.
No,
and her real name was Dale.
No,
okay.
I knew she was.
I was just guessing.
I knew she was an issue anytime she saw any kind of like Tylenol or anything. She was asking, "Do you want to chop that up and snort it?" Like, no.
Tylenol?
But she didn't know it was Tylenol. She was thinking it was something. Yeah, she was thinking it was something like
cool.
You want her number?
Yeah.
Wow, you got a little too excited.
Those, I mean,
Kelly,
they'll do anything. Kelly doesn't listen. They will do anything if they're snorting stuff.
Anyway,
yeah,
I like Seminole in this game too.
And you don't have to take a shower before.
Hey, by the way,
wink, wink.
Why is that a positive?
Because you don't have to put the effort in. You just go right into your business.
Yes, 3A. This is the third show of the night. Look, by the way, Sweetwater, it looked like for 90% of last week, they were going to go 0-2. Comeback win against Greenwood, very impressive. But I think Seminole's better than Greenwood. I like Seminole in this game.
I think Seminole's a good 2 touchdowns better than Greenwood.
Yeah, I say 12 to 17 points. I like that. I like that.
All right. How about Peaster and Jacksboro, man? This is a great one, man. Peaster's now 2-0 with wins over Toller 10-0 and Ferris 41-17. Jacksboro's got that quarterback in White Cavett, one of the best quarterbacks in 3A right now, right?
Yeah.
And Luke Sams at running backs ran for over 320 yards in 2 weeks. Receivers, Kenan Venezuela, he's a beast.
I like Jacksboro by a lot, but I'm curious to just see, does Peaster hang around? If Peaster can stay within 2 touchdowns, I think maybe this 2-0 start for the Greyhounds might be a little legit.
I'll tell you what, if Peaster comes in and beats Jacksboro, I'm going to be on the Greyhound.
If they beat, because I think Jacksboro at the end of the day is going to be better this year than they were last year.
Right.
Right. But if Trevor Owens is doing a wonderful job in Peaster, 2 years ago, they were supposed to be loaded for bear. They fell flat. They made a couple changes. And when you look at 4-3A Division I, Peaster's got to feel comfortable. I mean, you got Paradise, you've got Vernon, but nobody in there that's like, oh my God, we can't beat them.
You got to worry about.
Yeah,
right?
but Paradise is reloading, so we're seeing what they do as a reloaded program.
But I was told preseason that Paradise was supposed to be the fastest team on the earth.
Really?
Were we not?
We were.
We
but
were told.
Then they lose to Godly.
Paradise was supposed to be one of the
No, we did. We did hear that.
Teams.
You're right. I remember that.
And that's not tracking right now.
No, it's not. And of course, they lost their everything, Austin Iglesias, and that it's going to take them a while to figure that out. But yeah, I think Jacksboro does still name their score, but I want to see what Peaster does in this game.
Yeah. So I've got Refugio and Edna on the run sheet, but I think Edna doesn't play Refugio this week, do they?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why didn't we have that on the 2A? Or did we?
We did.
No, we had Edna and somebody else.
No, we talked about Edna last week. We talked about them Bay City. We didn't talk about
them. Okay.
Yeah, we just forgot to talk about it.
Oh,
hey,
okay.
2A people that can't hear the 3A show, come over here. We're about to talk. I'll post when I post the 2A. Okay. I will mention, hey, we forgot to talk.
I just hope we didn't. Are you sure we didn't?
Yeah, we did not. Okay. We talked Edna winning last week against Bay City. We did not talk about that.
Yeah. So who you like in this one, man? I mean, what Edna did, the way Edna treated Bay City is scary.
I
without
think
one
Edna
of their
might,
starters.
I don't want to say Edna names their score, but I think Edna wins comfortably.
I think Edna wins by 7 to 14 points in this one.
I have no problem with that. That sounds about right.
All right. Tidehaven and Hallettsville.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
You know, Tidehaven again, they don't have Dodd, but they have a lot of guys back, and they have a ton of juniors.
Hallettsville's been playing
really good.
well.
Give me this game's in Hallettsville, so I'm going Hallettsville.
I'm going
Hallettsville with the home field advantage. It's going to be a 7-point game at most. I think this is going to be one of those 21-17, 21-13 type games.
I can agree with that, but it's not because it's in Hallettsville. It's just because Hallettsville wins by that much or that much better.
No problem.
All right, Shiner and Poth. Poth by a lot, man.
I think Poth names their score in this one.
I think Poth by 21 to 28.
Yeah, that's naming their score.
Well, no. 35 to 42.
You know what? We need to one night on one of our all-season shows. We need to explain
what is naming.
Yeah,
your
what
score,
is because
right?
that's a real good
3
discussion.
touchdowns is not naming your score.
Yeah.
4 or 5 touchdowns is
okay. I have no problem with that.
And Poth could win by that much. I mean, that's how good Poth is.
Shiner has a lot of pride, and they're and they play a style football that as long as they're getting first downs, they're going to slow you down. But man, you said it in the. Poth is just I don't think people understand where they could end up in 3A Division II this year.
And again, like we said on the show, before, like Poth is just hidden down there. Right?
I think they're the second best by far in the state. And I think they're closer to Gunner this year than they were 2 years ago when they played in the state championship game.
They're a lot closer. And just go back and watch. If you can get online and go back and watch Poth and Falls City, you'd be pretty impressed, especially in the second half.
Well, look what they did to Comanche, who we just are talking about.
Right, yeah.
We like Comanche, and they beat them 35-40.
We've got to get down to Poth for a game. All right, let's see here. Carthage and Liberty Allo. Carthage. I know Liberty Allo is a great story, and they're still good no matter what happens. But, I mean, they're facing the dog of the East.
Well, and you're facing a dog of the East that's really angry, who got physically beat up by Kilgore, and they didn't play last week. Yeah,
last week. That's right.
Look, they're going to name their score against Liberty Allo. I want to see, though, in the first half, how this new offense moves the ball. Do they even get some points? Things like that. Yeah. It's not about the win or loss against Carthage. It's how you're playing against Carthage. I just want to see that.
Yeah. All right, Tatum and Newton. Give me,
dude.
This one's tough. I'm gonna take Newton in this one. Newton's gonna get right. I think Newton's got a bad rap over the last 2 weeks, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they played 2 good teams,
right?
I think
Tatum has surprised everybody, starting out 2-0, right? I think a lot of people would have said Tatum, if you're outside of Tatum, would have said we should be 0-2 now, going into Newton with a possibility of 0-3, right? And they're 2-0.
But this feels like
2 teams that seem to be going in opposite directions.
And usually when it's usually they end up coming back to the mean. And I think
that's right.
Now, if Tatum wins this game,
if Tatum wins this game, I'm putting them top 5 in our rankings next week.
Again,
next week is our first rankings. If Tatum beats Newton, and I know Newton on the scoreboard right now doesn't look like world beaters, but if Tatum beats Newton, Tatum's going in my top 5.
Yeah, they've got a really good resume, right?
They do. I mean, they're top 10 already.
Yep.
Top 5 if they beat Newton. Show me.
All right, let's go. Lorena versus Franklin. Coach X has something to say. Let me go ahead and read his. Here's what he has to say. Hear me out, Leopards. I say you start walking out to coal miner's daughter. I mean, I know you are Lorena, but you could easily be Loretta. And I know she's not the most manly, but hey, you got to roll. He's struggling at this point. He must have been driving from Oregon and was tired because that's terrible. And by the way, he's going with the Lions. I am too. I think both of these teams, Lorena especially, are step and a half back from where they were last year.
Yes.
I think Franklin's going to be fine. I think Lorena's going to be fine, but Lorena's in a tough district. I mean, we need to stop assuming, but there's a lot of people assuming, Lorena's going to get a playoff spot. They might not. They're going to be in a fight for a playoff spot in this district. Yeah. And I think they're going to struggle against Franklin. And I think while I don't think Franklin is quite as good as they were last year, they're still a force, and they're still Jaden Jackson, and they're still physical, and I still think that they'll end up beating Lorena.
Yeah, Lorena's new quarterback, Brady Schmetzhammer, seems like a pretty darn good quarterback, and then Blaise Schmetzhammer at running back seems to be able to, get his yards in between tackles. I don't know. I don't think this Lorena defense, though, has enough to stop the Jaden Jackson.
No, this is just a young Lorena team. They're in 4A. And I know Frank was 3, but we're just talking about overall of the season. They're in 4A now.
I don't think this would be a blowout, though.
No, I think 3 touchdowns. 2-3 touchdowns. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
And this is a rivalry game, so there's going to be a little bit more than just, normal,
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, that is it, folks. We want to thank everybody for listening to us. Again, Bushland fans, y'all were awesome.
Yeah,
we appreciate all the love you gave us at the game, all the love you've given us for. Also want to say hi to Jerry from Canadian, Jerry Brunson, one of our favorites. We got to see him. We love Canadian too. And again, when we were in the break, I'm thinking, man, it feels like, it was all Bushland, but we were just so impressed with Bushland. But again, I was still very impressed with a young Canadian team.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be okay in 3A Division 2. But again, I want to remind everybody, if you have any thoughts, questions, or comments, email us, Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. Follow us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter at Grant and Terry. Like us on Facebook. Just type in Sideline to Sideline. Also, our Patreon. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/L4 Media. It really helps out the show, and it's for $3 a month. So for the high school football season, and also you can follow us after because we have Outdrink the coverage and other shows on there. But for the high school football season, it's less than a McDonald's meal to help us out and to help us be able to do more things with the show. So all you got to do is simply go to patreon.com, L4 Media Company. Until week 4, he's Grant Goodwin. I'm Terry Bennett, and that was Coach X. We'll see you next week on the 3A show here on L4 Media.
On Friday night, fall in small Texas town.